What I like most about Captain America Brave New World is its more grounded approach, very similar to Captain America Winter Soldier. It has those spy movie elements, that spy thriller, and it's very obvious it was trying to pay homage to the second film in the series. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's paying homage since it's the same series, but it's trying to follow in the footsteps of the Winter Soldier, and I really appreciated that. There's also a certain character that is reintroduced in this movie that we haven't seen in the MCU for a long time, and I honestly thought we would never see this character again, but it was a nice surprise, and his tease followed by his full reveal was very exciting to me because I absolutely loved his design. I love how they played his character as very serious, and I love that they use practical effects because I feel like if it was a different Marvel movie, a more cosmic Marvel movie like Eternals or something, they would have made this character completely CGI and that would have been so boring. For me personally, the best character in this movie and the best performance is that of Isaiah Bradley, who is one of the super soldiers and was one of the Caps in the past time. I'm not too sure because I never watched the show, and I think that's another problem of the movie is people are gonna have to do homework to understand any of these movies, and that was the big problem with the streaming service kind of shows. And I refuse to watch any of them because I just don't like that business model. And it's like, well, what do you expect? Well, I expect most movie companies to make movies for general audiences in mind, along with those hardcore fans. But, anyways, I think Isaiah Bradley was the best character and the best acted performance in the movie. His relationship with Sam Wilson was awesome. It felt like the most authentic part of the movie, and the most drama came from their relationship together. And there's so many moments with Isaiah Bradley where you really sympathize for him because he's experienced so much, he's suffered so much, and he's gave so much to a country that is unfortunately treating him like crap. And then the stuff that happens in the movie makes it even worse. And so the actor is so good also at playing this kind of like physically imposing character while also having a very sweet soul, and you can feel that in him. But the rest of the characters, except for President Ross, who I think Harrison Ford did a great job, the rest of the characters feel very flat to me, including Sam Wilson, the lead of the movie. We don't really see much of Sam's internal conflict until later on in the movie, and I know a lot of it was done in his own show, but it's like a lot of people didn't see the show. And so you can't make this movie and expect everyone to be caught up with the show, because then it just seems like this character was not written well. So we see his struggle of being accepted as the new Captain America, but it's mostly surface level because we only see it on the combat zone and not in how it affects him on a day-to-day life. Like, what's his regular day like? What his routine like? What are his personal relationships like? We don't necessarily need to have these things for the movie to be good. But because the only internal conflict is him being accepted as Captain America, it would be nice to see how it affects him in a very intimate level. A lot of the dialogue between characters feels very unnatural because a lot of it is clearly done to flesh out the exposition or catch people up on what they've missed. It just doesn't sound like how people talk about it. It's like just giving exposition of like, ever since this happened, I'm here, I can't be this person anymore because of what happened. It's like, that's not how people who've known each other for years, who have conversations all the time, that's not what they talk like. There was one scene in particular where they're talking about a certain villain's origin, and I felt like it would have been so much better if they actually cut to a scene, a flashback scene, where we see these things happening, and it would have been a lot more exciting to see it that way, but instead we see two characters simply talk about it. And so it's like, a lot of this feels like a TV show, and that's also how I feel like it was shot. It was shot like a boring TV show. It was shot like a soap opera at times, and with soap operas, they got to film like 100 episodes in like a week. So it's totally understandable why they have to kind of do film things as fast as they can, which doesn't leave a lot of room for like creative shots. But a film with a crazy budget like this, there's no excuse for the cinematography to be so dull because the cinematography in Captain America Brave New World has no sauce whatsoever. Unfortunately, there's one scene where there's like a hallway scene where Cap is throwing the shield, and that scene was pretty awesome. I wish we had more of that, but that was a isolated case because the rest of the cinematography is cheeks, unfortunately. The costume for Joaquin Torres, the new Falcon, looks so freaking cheap. It looks like a bad cosplay. It doesn't even fit him right. It looks like it's super loose on him. And his backpack looks like one of those backpacks where you can carry a cat inside. And I think the actor that plays Joaquin Torres is a great actor. I think he has like awesome charisma. I think he can play this very charming type of person who's eager to do his part. But unfortunately, his dialogue is so freaking cringy. It's so unbelievably cheesy. Of course, it's at Marvel tradition, but it just feels extra lazy in this film, and the way it's delivered too. I don't know if it's the directing or the decisions made in the performance, but it just wasn't funny to me at all. And I don't think a lot of people thought it was funny either. While I appreciate that this film has more hand-to-hand combat, sometimes the hand-to-hand combat is really cool, especially with the girl Israeli character. She has some really cool scenes. Isaiah Bradley has some cool scenes. But then sometimes, actually, like 80% of the action scenes feel very sluggish and slow, and it feels very fake. And of course, it's all fake. I get that, but this movie in particular didn't feel like the action scenes were that polished. Like, it just feels like dancers dancing and never feels like these people are getting hurt. And when you compare it to a movie like The Winter Soldier, that opening sequence where Cap is, taking these guys out on the boat, you can feel their spines being crushed, their vertebrae being snapped, and them tipping over to the ocean. It feels painful just watching those scenes. It feels real. And unfortunately, this movie, Captain America Brave New World, doesn't have that level of intensity. The at least for me, the fighting scenes never felt that real. It felt very fake. I think what really hurts me the most as far as the superhero aspect of this film is that the movie doesn't even try to explain to us or show us why Sam Wilson can be the only guy who is this kind of Captain America with the wings and such. Because at no point do I get the idea that he's attached to the set of powers of the wings. I mean, I know I've seen other movies where he's been using the wings for a long time now, but I feel like because he's leading this movie, we need to see why the wings are so special to him. Why the wings? Why doesn't he use a jetpack? Why doesn't he use some sort of Iron Man type of armor? And there's a story there they could have told, but it seems like they just brushed over it so they can focus on, I guess, more of a spy thriller. And I would have loved that if it was more interesting. But unfortunately, when you have this character that uses wings as his main superpower, you have to give him a reason why he does this. It's the same thing with characters like Batman, where why does he like to dress up like a bat? Because he likes to strike fear into his criminals. Okay, so why does Sam Wilson like to use his wings still, despite all this time, despite all this new tech he gets? Why does he stick to the wings? Unfortunately, the movie doesn't care to give any explanation for why he keeps the wings. That's what makes his powers feel just like any other set of gadgets. They don't feel like they're personalized to him. Because the movie doesn't use a lot of CGI, which I think is awesome, you would think the few moments where the CGI is really good, but it's not. Especially when he's flying in the air, when both of them are flying in the air, it looks very unpolished. It looks like an early 2000 video game. I will say though, when the Red Hulk finally comes on screen and we see him in his full CGI glory, he looks amazing. And the whole action sequence with the Red Hulk is awesome. It just made me think, I wish we saw more of that. And it also just made me think, wow, this movie would have been 10 times better if it was a straight up Hulk movie, because it is kind of a secret Hulk sequel without the Hulk, which is unfortunate because if we had the Hulk as the protagonist, I think it would have been awesome to see him trade blows with the Red Hulk. It would be so fitting, but unfortunately we didn't get that because distribution rights and whatnot. The Red Hulk was one of the better parts of the movie, and I feel like it was a bit misleading to have him in all the trailers when you watch it and realize that he is in a very small portion of this film. Overall, I liked the movie more than I expected because I thought it was going to be absolutely terrible. There's a lot of cool elements here, and I like the direction that they were going. Unfortunately, the execution wasn't as good as I would have liked it to be, but they were obviously going in a direction that's more grounded, more serious, and to see that in the MCU, it's a nice change of pace. They swung hard, but they kind of maybe they hit a foul ball. Not completely missed, but they totally hit a foul ball. I would give Captain America: Brave New World a 6 out of 10.